Good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of the Crafts Code seminar on how to innovate the craft sector. My name is Shauna Sweeney and I'm the Innovation Coordinator for Design and Crafts Council Ireland. Design and Crafts Council Ireland are the host partner for this 2-day event. And on behalf of us in DCCI and all of the project partners, we would like to officially welcome you to the second and last day of our 2-day conference. So I know a lot of people might be joining us that weren't here yesterday, so apologies, there will be a little bit of repetition for the introduction that we had yesterday morning. But once again, the session is being recorded today and yesterday's as well. You can find the recording on our Facebook page and also on our website, which is interregeurope.eu/craftscode. We'd be delighted if you could follow us on our social media platforms. We are live on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and you can use the hashtag CraftsCode. We have a busy agenda for today, similar to yesterday morning. I'll be shortly passing you over to the CEO of Design and Crafts Council, Rosemary Steen, and then you're going to hear some short presentations from some of my colleagues in DCCI. We'll then have a summary of the good practices from yesterday. So if you missed the session yesterday, our advisory partner, Hilda, is going to give a quick overview of what happened yesterday. Depending on how fast we're moving, we'll hopefully have a 10-minute break, or we might move on to our next speaker, who's going to talk to us about the clay project. And then we're going to have some presentations from Michelangelo Foundation, Benchbase in Cork, and the EU project Craft 4.0. Similar to yesterday, we're going to keep all of the questions for the end of the session or the end of the morning. So if you have any questions as we're going along, please type them into the Q&A and we'll do our best to direct them to the relevant person. So I'm going to hand it over now to our CEO. Once again, wishing you all a lovely morning and thanks so much everyone for joining us.
Thank you, Shauna. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to day 2 of the third Interregional Thematic Seminar of the Crafts Code project, funded by the EU Interreg programme. My name is Rosemary Steen. I am the CEO of the Design and Crafts Council, and we're delighted to be hosting this event. I sincerely hope you enjoyed yesterday's presentations, and if you only joined us today, I would like to welcome you formally to this event. I want, like everyone, like yesterday, it's an honor to have you all on board, and it's wonderful that this audience is joining us from all parts of the continent. This is the second and final day of the seminar, or ITS, of the Crafts Code project. For those joining us today, again, I say the Crafts Code aims to enhance the competitiveness of craft SMEs by developing a framework to stimulate policy learning. Through this learning, it aims to build the capacity to improve the implementation of regional development policies and programs in the regions of the partners involved. I'm just going to mention again our partners. I mentioned them briefly yesterday, but we obviously are in partnership with the project's lead partner, which is the municipality of Florence in Italy. And we in the Design and Crafts Council are based in Kilkenny in Ireland, and we're the communications partner for the project. The other partners are Vasa University of Applied Sciences in Finland, the Artisan University College Antwerp, Belgium, the EOI Foundation, Spain, the Budapest Foundation for Enterprise Promotion from Hungary, the RAM Central Star Planina from Bulgaria, the Ministry of Economy, European Funds for Competitiveness Director General in Bulgaria, and the Regional Council of Osbothnia in Finland. A key part of the Crafts Code project is these seminars. At the ITS events, the Crafts Code partners exchange good practices identified together with local stakeholders in their respective regions. We have heard some of those good practices yesterday, and later we will hear a summary of the presentations by Crafts Code's advisory partner, who I met earlier this morning, Hilda Hoffennagels. When this project was being written, it was envisaged that the second day of the seminar was supposed to be a study trip, an opportunity for partners across Europe to get to know the host organisation, to explore their work and meet members of the craft sector in the host region. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, that is no longer possible. But with our imaginations, we will try and achieve some of those objectives virtually today. I'm very proud that today we'll concentrate more on the team from DCCI. So you'll be meeting a number of members of our team, which is great. But as you know, innovation in crafts is the topic of the event. And organizing virtual events is certainly something a lot of us have had to get used to, a type of innovation that we're going to rely on probably much more regularly post this pandemic. Yesterday, it was very exciting. We heard a variety of good practices on how to innovate the craft sector from Ireland, Bulgaria, Spain, Finland, Italy, and Hungary. In a poll we launched, we saw that 98% of you, which is extraordinarily high, answered that you saw the pandemic as an opportunity to innovate, a hugely positive motivator for small and medium-sized craft businesses to innovate. And it is truly amazing that out of all of the awfulness that has surrounded the pandemic, there is still such a sense of opportunity as to how we go forward. It's a real evidence of the strength of the human spirit, I think, that even through all of this, innovation is driving the thinking of this sector. We have heard in the past craft code events about how some of the ways businesses and individuals coped with the pandemic and changed their business models, moving their sales, networking, exhibitions, and marketing online, investing time and money in digital skills. Ireland is no different in this regard, and I was particularly happy to see that a large percentage of the audience yesterday was very interested in finding out more about our good practices presented, in particular the innovation voucher, which is developed by Enterprise Ireland. It's a key pathway in Ireland for craft entrepreneurs to innovate and grow their business. We were going to start our study trip today with a short series of presentations on what the Design and Crafts Council Ireland is doing and how we are helping the craft sector. I'm hugely proud of the staff involved in the work that people have done through the pandemic and our team. And I'm sorry that you're not getting to meet these people in person because they're truly impressive individuals who love craft and are very dedicated to the well-being of the sector. But while you listen to the presentations, try to imagine you're taking a walk with some of them through our lovely premises in the Castle Yard in Kilkenny on what is a beautiful and sunny day in Ireland. Try to forget that you're sitting at a desk and be transported to beautiful Ireland. After hearing a summary of yesterday's good practices, our study trip will continue with guest speakers from both Ireland and the rest of Europe. And hopefully you'll hear inspiring voices and great stories and useful information about what kind of innovation and opportunities are available to the craft sectors across the EU and here in Ireland. I'm now going to hand over to one of our team who's done amazing work over the past year, Aisling Clancy, who's our education manager, and she's going to present on our Future Makers program. Over to you, Aisling.
Thank you, Rosemary. Just share my screen there 1 second. Sorry. Perfect. So hi everyone, good morning. As Rosemary said, I'm Aisling Clancy, the Education Manager, and I'm just going to give you a quick overview of our Future Makers programme. So the Future Makers Awards and Support Programme was established in 2009 to support the next generation of makers, designers and craftspeople to take the next step from training to enterprise or to grow their newly established business. So it's really to help people at a very critical stage in their career. The programme was established to not only offer financial support, but also to provide a platform to showcase talent and innovation. And since the awards have begun, we've awarded €310,000 to 280 Irish designers and craftspeople. And the awards are divided into two overall categories. So we have the Student Awards and the Emerging Makers Awards. The Students and the Recent Graduates category is open to anyone in full-time education or training on a craft or design discipline for at least a year up until degree level. And after completing their studies, students can also apply in this category for a year after graduation. The Emerging Makers category is open to anyone undertaking postgraduate study or who has graduated 2 to 6 years ago or has started up their own creative enterprise 2 to 6 years ago. Within these overall awards, there are different categories where applicants can apply for supports, and they just apply for one support within whichever category they're eligible for. So within the student supports, we have 5 awards, which are worth €500 each. So there are 5 material supports, as the name suggests. This is an award towards materials to produce a specific body of work. We have travel and training supports, and there are 4 of those. And that's again for specialist training or postgraduate education. We also have professional development supports, and there are 3 of those, and this is support towards services that you might need, like a professional photographer or a website designer or anything like that. Then within our emerging maker support categories, we have studio supports, and there are 4 of those worth €1,000 each. And these are for fixtures or fittings or any kind of equipment that one might need if you were either setting up a studio or growing your studio practice. We have residencies and training supports. There are 3 of those. Again, that's for national or international training or residencies. And we also have 3 exhibition supports, and that's for anyone who is exhibiting or attending a trade fair to showcase their work, again, either nationally or internationally. So by applying for any of the supports, you're automatically considered for 2 awards. The first award is new this year, and it's the Sustainable Design Award. And in our student category, we have 1 of these awards to provide, and it's worth €1,000. And in our emerging maker category, again, there's 1 award, and it's worth €2,000. And this new award rewards talented and innovative designers and makers who embed sustainability into their practice. Then we have the overall Future Makers Award. And in the student category, we have 1 of those, which is worth €2,500. And in the emerging maker category, it's worth €3,500. And this award is to reward excellence, creativity, technical ability, and really potential. So those who we see are really going to grow and thrive throughout their career. And so over the last number of years, we've supported many very talented designers, including Oona Burke. So Oona Burke won the overall Emerging Makers Award in 2010. The judges were very impressed by Oona's use of traditional leatherworking skills to produce outstanding, evocative, conceptual pieces. And this was the same year when Oona established her own brand. And she, sells and exhibits her work all over the world. Some of her clients include Janet Jackson, Lady Gaga, Rihanna, and Madonna. Alan Meridith is another former Future Makers winner. So he won the Emerging Makers Support in 2017. This support allowed Alan to acquire larger machinery, which allowed him to scale up his pieces. And the judges really admired his beautiful contemporary collection of skillfully executed pieces. Alan went on to win the National RDS Craft Award in 2018 and many other awards. And he's also featured in the DCCI's portfolio program, which my colleague Kira is going to speak about after me. And he has a very successful practice and employs multiple people selling and exhibiting his bespoke pieces internationally as well. Another Future Makers winner is Anne-Marie Reinhold. She was awarded a travel and training student support in 2019, and this award supported Anne-Marie to visit the jeweler Julie Blyfield in Australia. Anne-Marie gained many insights and also learned about setting up a similar practice for herself. And Anne-Marie has recently been awarded a commission by the Design and Crafts Council and the National Museum to create a sculptural piece in response to the COVID-19 crisis. And this finished work will be part of the National Museum's permanent collection. Last but not least, Izzy O'Reilly was the overall student category winner in 2019. And I'm just going to finish up with a quote from Izzy. She said, "Winning a Future Makers Award was not only greatly financially helpful, but it was also an enormous confidence boost as an emerging artist. The funding allowed me to enroll in a tailoring course to develop my technical skills, and the press enables me to show my work, leading me on to some exciting commission work. So it kind of captures it all, that it's not just about financial support, it's about just really that platform and having your work in front of a captive audience. And so for any further information, you can visit our website, www.futuremakers.ie. And I'm now going to hand you over to my colleague, Kira Garvey, who is going to speak about the portfolio programme. Thanks, Kira.
Thanks, Aisling. I'll just get my screen up here. Okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone. It's brilliant to be here today. Thanks for inviting me. As Aisling said, I'm the project manager for Portfolio, and this is a program that we've been running at DCCI since 2005. It's a membership program, and makers get selected for it through an application and judging process. Our ambition with the program is to support and develop contemporary and design-led craft of the highest quality and the makers who create that work. So the work featured is work that's relevant to the gallery-led market. It's work that collectors want to acquire, or it's suitable for consideration for museum collections. The works featured are mostly one-off pieces, and they cover all contemporary craft practices, the most prominent ones being ceramics, glass, furniture and woodwork, but other less common practices like stone and marquetry have been included and featured over the years. We've just completed a call out for the selection process for the portfolio membership for 2021 to 2022. So this is the information that we've had up on the website. As an opportunity, it's one that's open to all our members. So for the process this time round, the application and judging was all done virtually and was selected by our appointed expert independent panel consisting of Jean Blanchet from Milan, Deborah Finn and Juliana Cavaliero from London, and Alice Story-Lichtenstein from Austria. The main thing that the judges were looking for was excellence in craftsmanship, design, innovation, and creative quality in the work submitted through the digital images. So what does Portfolio do, and what are the benefits for being in it? Well, one of the key aspects of the program is building relationships. We work hard to build strong relationships in order to create opportunities for makers. And this would be our ambition for all portfolio makers, to help make the right connections for them and link them to the right audiences. For example, we have a strong ongoing relationship with the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade here in Ireland. We have a joint collection with them whereby work is purchased and commissioned for the embassy network all around the world. Similarly, with the National Museum of Ireland, again, we have a joint collection called the Contemporary Collection of Design and Craft, and acquisitions for this are primarily made of work that comes through the Portfolio programme. Relationships with curators and galleries are a key part of the work we do. In 2018, Portfolio was used by Jacques Ray from Michelangelo Foundation and Jean Blanchet to select work for the Best in Europe Pavilion at Homo Faber in Venice. A more recent example is metalsmith Cecilia Moore. Through Portfolio, we introduced Cavaliero Fin Gallery to her work, and now she's showing with them, including being with them at Virtual Collect earlier this year, and from that she's in a wonderful exhibition called Crafting a Difference, which is a collaborative virtual and physical gallery taking place with 5 high-profile UK galleries in the UK. Another great benefit of being in Portfolio is eligible for the critical selection. Selection for this means that in the opinion of the judges, the work presented is seen as comparative by world-class standards. The successful applicants feature in a publication and in an exhibition. So the images here are from our previous edition, 2019 to 2020. This year, following the selection process, 39 makers were selected for this element. The publication and exhibition will launch in County Cork at the start of August. After that, we've been invited to the Dubai Expo from October to March, and also to the new Michelangelo Gallery in Geneva at the Arcade des Arts. So hopefully we'll be presenting versions of critical selection there. Another fantastic opportunity from the portfolio programme is eligibility to apply for the RDS Irish Craft Bursary worth €10,000 to one maker. The RDS, or the Royal Dublin Society, is a philanthropic society here in Ireland, and as part of their ongoing support for the arts in Ireland, initiated this fund a number of years ago. And this award may be used for a wide range of career and professional development activities. The first winner in 2018 was glass artist Edmund Byrne, and he used his bursary to collaborate with metalsmith Adi Tok, and they created this incredible new body of work. Last year's winner was Selena Coyle. She's a jewellery artist and educator, and she used her bursary to create a series of contemporary icons inspired by and dedicated to women and women's stories. We do have a winner for this year, but I can't reveal right now, but this will be announced at the Critical Selection exhibition in August. But I can tell you that it's a very exciting proposal. So out of 160 entries for the portfolio membership for this year, 101 makers were selected for the wider portfolio programme, and out of that 39 were selected for the critical selection. So how are you going to be able to see this work? Well, we're currently working on new digital elements, including viewing rooms with ArtLogic, and we're also going to have a corresponding Instagram campaign to launch the work. So details of this will all be on the DCCI website, so please do keep a lookout to see the overall selection, which will be ready to go in early August. Thank you. So over to you now, Nicola.
Hello, everybody. Thanks a million for that, Ciara. So I'm here today to just talk to you all about the Made Local campaign. Apologies. Now, so as a result of COVID-19, Design and Crafts Council of Ireland felt it was very important March of last year to start looking at supports to help the sector as we moved through the various elements of the pandemic. One of the key things we felt was really important was to develop a sense of engagement in the community, in the sector, particularly amongst makers, designers, retailers, and of course, consumers. So with that in mind, we developed the Made Local campaign. So our objectives, or our strategy behind it, was to create a memorable national campaign to support and build our community of makers, to inspire consumers to buy and to give Irish craft as gifts, and to mobilise retailers to support makers and to engage with them on a deeper level. And of course, to attract media attention and to drive awareness of craft. Apologies. So with this in mind, I suppose one of the things we focused on was particularly around messaging. We were very keen to make sure that our messaging worked for the audiences we were talking to. So for phase one of Made Local, which was when we launched initially last summer, the key focus was on Irish people spending time and money locally. So it was encouraging pride in buying and owning locally made products. With that in mind, we came up with the message #MadeLocal, which we used across everything. You can own it. And that really, I think, resonated with the mood in the country at the time, where people felt, okay, we're in the depths of a pandemic here. What can I do? And people really engaged with that message and came on board with the whole idea behind the Made Local campaign. As the campaign evolved during the year, we went into a phase two in winter. The focus evolved as well, and the key focus became gifting for the Christmas period. So we evolved our messaging around that, and it became love what you give. And this actually was something that it really resonated with people, and we had a little story card that retailers gave out to consumers, and we've heard since that a lot of people have retained those because they just felt the message actually gave so much more meaning when a gift was given. So the actions, within each campaign, we tried to make sure that there were several elements that were consistent. So Initially, obviously, there was recruitment. So we looked at recruiting as many makers and retailers to the campaign as possible, signing them up, filling them in about what was happening, arming them with the information and the branding that they needed. We also developed a very strong brand that we rolled out across a variety of things. And in July of last year, we had a high profile launch. So the photo you see here is actress and author Amy Huberman, along with the Tánaiste Leo Varadkar, who is currently our Deputy Prime Minister. At the time, he would have been our Prime Minister or our Taoiseach. So he came on board to help us launch the campaign, which had a huge impact, and it was great to see that kind of support. It was really valued. So we also rolled out point of sale material with the branding in store and in studio. So every retailer and maker signed up to the campaign got plenty of in store and in studio point of sale material so that everybody could see they were on board. We rolled out an advertising campaign that went across digital, radio and press, and a very active PR campaign that went across press, broadcast and online, both regional and national. And last of all, but not least, it was very important, was the social media campaign, and that ran year round. So just to give you a little flavour of the branding, this is our suite of point of sale material. There was everything from stickers and labels and story cards and strut cards and labelling for windows. Across online, we had a variety of digital assets, from branding that went across laptops, desktops and mobiles, to video advertisements that went across a variety of platforms. And then we had tailored social assets, and these were social media tiles that we provided to all of our participants. And it allowed them to really become part of the campaign because they could bring their own branding and their own imagery into it and still stay consistent and very committed into the campaign. So our impacts for phase 1 and 2 of 2020 Made Local. We had almost 1,000 makers signed up to the campaign, and we had over 240 retailers, which actually is quite a high percentage for a small country like Ireland. Our PR reach was 12.12 million, digital ad reach was 9.9 million, and the social reach was 4.8 million. But interestingly, and probably the thing that had the greatest day-to-day impact, was the increase in traffic to the DCCI site, which increased by over 110% as a result of the campaign. And that meant people were truly engaging with our own clients who were all listed on that site. For us, the highlights, I suppose, there was a lot of coverage on national and regional press, television, radio and online. And the one that made me laugh, I think, the most was we trended #1 on Twitter on the launch day, which was fantastic. But what made it quite interesting was it was the same day that the presidential campaign in the US was being announced, and they were announcing for certain who the president was. So we expected Twitter to be full of presidential news, but actually we pipped the Americans to the post on that particular day. So we also have very strong craft sales, which was a key driver in all of this, and a very positive reaction from makers and retailers. Our retention rate on this program has been really high. So next steps, our main concern is to try and roll the campaign out again for 2021 and to build on the momentum that has started and the support and the commitment to buying local and buying made local. Among the whole community, not just the makers and retailers, but consumers have really gotten involved. We're going to roll out 2 more key campaigns. They'll go summer and winter, same as last year. And we're hoping to increase the number of makers and retailers on board. So there'll be a big recruitment campaign for that. Our main aim is to increase the level of engagement so that more people feel part of it, and obviously then to increase sales and awareness. So that's kind of our whistle-stop tour of the Made Local campaign. I hope it gives you a flavour for what we did. If you do want to find out more, you can see more on the DCCI site, just /Made Local. And we will be shortly announcing the dates and details for the 2021 phases. So thanks for your time, and thanks very much for inviting me.
Thanks very much, Nicola. I have to say a huge thank you to all of my colleagues at DCCI. We gave them a very short time frame to speak, only 5 minutes each, and you actually all stuck well within that. So a huge thank you. I know how difficult it is to narrow down so much information into such a short time, especially when there's a lot to speak about and you're obviously very passionate about each of your own projects. So thank you to Ciara, Aisling and Nicola for that. I'm going to pass over now to our advisory partner, Hilda. For anyone who wasn't here yesterday on the webinar, Hilda's going to give a short summary and recap of all the good practices presented by the project partners. So Hilda, if you're ready, I can pass it over to you.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everybody. This second day, we're going to have a short overview of what we have been talking about yesterday. As Shauna already said, you will see that yesterday was a full day with many different types of good practices. I'm going to share a short presentation with you just to make it easier to follow what I'm talking about. So I hope you can you see this, Shauna?
Yes, that's perfect, Hilda.
Thank you. So good practices in innovation in crafts. I'm going to take 2 minutes here to explain how we proceeded, because this innovation thing in recent times, as we all know, often moves to digitalization. We all think that innovation is digitalization, and especially since COVID. So we talked with the partners about this before we started to indicate good practices, and we decided not to focus exclusively on this digital item. You will see that in many of the good practices that we saw yesterday, digitalization has a function, but it's not the main function, let's say. And from the short poll that we had yesterday at the end of the day, we could read that many of you don't necessarily link innovation with digitalization, and I think that is a very good thing. So first of all, we listened to a colleague of mine from the Academy of Fine Arts, which is a department of Artisan Plantijn Hogeschool. This is the university college I work for. Mariella de Vos is a teacher at the Academy, and she spoke to us about old school and new challenges. She says that innovation can only happen if you have the right ingredients. So what is happening at these classes that she teaches? Students and professors combine old and new techniques and materials, and they mix both. Often, older costumes or older pieces are remade to understand the techniques that were used in those days, and with new materials and new techniques, they can make them come alive again. In the presentation that I will bring you now of all the different partner countries, some elements will come back. You will see that this remaking of older pieces comes back in another partner's good practice. Then after Belgium, we had the presentation of 2 good practices from Ireland, and we just saw in the introductory phase how much is going on in Ireland. It is unbelievable. And I also see from, I saw yesterday from the poll that many partners feel very close to the good practices that are presented by Ireland. So there must be something special happening there, and it's such a pity that we can't come over there physically to see what it is that makes Ireland so special in this niche, let's say. So first we had Mike Dolan, who presented the innovation vouchers, and immediately afterwards we had Lynn Whelan presenting Design Plus as an application, let's say, or where we see applications of these innovation vouchers. And we saw the case study of the Maguire diamonds, jewels in 3D printing. Now, what I find interesting is what I found especially interesting in the talk that we had with Alison, the owner of this case study, let's say, she said that visuality is so important in crafts. This too comes back with more partners of our consortium, that crafts and visibility go hand in hand. Thanks to the Design Plus tool, which offers visual mapping, she says that her case came out stronger. We then listened to Spain. We listened to Kike Correcher, I think is the last name, who presented the D tool. Now, D tool is a self-assessment tool. It is online, it is for free, it's easy, it's fast, and you have an immediate response. So there are only advantages to it. For the time being, I'm afraid it's only in Spanish. So there's a little detail. Should it be translated, I think that many partners would be interested in translating this also to their own country language. This D tool is a strategic tool, and what is super interesting is that it can help any type of company. We then listened to the presentation about two ladies in Hungary who have started Needlecraft Academy. Adrienne and Orsolia, both designers, fashion designers, they put their hands together and they started to look for an answer for the lack of qualified employees in their country and the lack of crafts education, and they want to combine both and offer it through the Needlecraft Academy. As a matter of fact, this Needlecraft Academy offers a complex new type of development. It's internationally focused, and it wants to transfer knowledge in the field of professional and entrepreneurial skills. So Adrienne and Orsolia are combining both their skills as a designer with their entrepreneurial capacities. And thus they are an excellent good practice for this innovation session. After Hungary, we listened to two different examples of good practices in Italy. The first one was presented by Paolo Aldereghi from the Navacchio Tech Park, and it is called Makex. From what I understand, I'm not an informatic or ICT specialist. From this presentation, I understand that Makex is a huge web platform that offers numerous possibilities, opportunities, toolboxes also for lab spaces. So with this Makex, you have so many different gates that can open. He explained us about this, this example of an urn, where you have tradition going hand in hand with new technologies, as we already saw in the presentation from Belgium. Here we have a very old, I think 16th century urn that was found in Tuscany. And thanks to new technology, thanks to 3D printing, it was possible to make a copy of the urn, which of course helps to spread and disseminate the word about the history. So cultural heritage can be helped, the preservation of cultural heritage and dissemination of it can be helped by modern technology. We will see this in another example from another partner also. The second good practice we saw from Italy is Preziosa Young, was presented by Gio Carbone, and Preziosa Young is officially called an exhibition for artists younger than 35, but I would prefer to call it more than just an exhibition. It's more like a fair, a crafts fair, a job and crafts fair, because these young people can exhibit what they know and how good they are in their job, so they can present themselves as future artists on the market. Here too, there was a stress on the fact that creativity needs visibility. You can be as creative as you want, but you need visibility to break out and to bring it to the world. What is interesting about this Preziosa Young, which is part of the more known Preziosa Jewelry Week, it offers occasions for networking and marketing to all participants, of course, nationally and internationally. There are no costs for the participants. There is an anonymous jury that indicates a winner at the end, but I think this is even one of the lesser important things. The most important thing is that they can network, market, and bring their work out to the world. Then we move from the south of Europe all to the north to Finland, where we have 2 partners in this project, and therefore we have also 2 different good practices presented. Both of a totally different nature, which is interesting. So one is more on the digital side, let's say, and the other one is the extreme opposite. So Business Moorwijn is an evaluation tool. So we are in the digital world here. It's a tool that helps creative entrepreneurs, and maybe it helps them in things that they don't like so much or they're not so good at in the beginning, like an analysis of the business, proactive business activities, and a whole scheme that they have to go through, ending with a business plan. Fascinating is also the Strömsö example. Strömsö is a Swedish TV show that's also broadcast in Finland. It has amongst 300 to 500,000 Finnish viewers daily. If you know how many people live in Finland, this is a huge success. It is a TV show that is about handicraft, about cooking, about knitting, about painting ceramics, whatever. So it is a way to show how you can have a creative and fulfilling life. So it gives you more or less the image of this idyllic Nordic life. Strömsö is also about creating trends. So what is happening? There are some current trends going on. There are some skilled people in crafts. The combination of both make that in an educative manner, they are going to present so-called new ideas through this show, and thus the trend that already exists becomes a wider trend thanks to the dissemination. We saw some very interesting films, videos, so it's worth going in a moment to YouTube and look at what this Strömsö is all about. The funny thing is that in a country that is so highly digitalized, this non-digital life, this non-digital world is becoming so popular. Then we moved on to Bulgaria. Bulgaria was the last presentation that we had yesterday about this innovation. So in Bulgaria, our partner just asked the question, did artisans just give up because of the pandemic, or did they fight back and learn something new? We got the example of a teacher of ceramics who was obliged to stay at home, as we all were in the lockdown, but she didn't want to give up teaching because she didn't want her pupils to have an interruption of being taught creative skills. So what did she do? She made videotapes of her work, of how she was teaching. Now, she didn't know anything about that, and she was helped by her 17-year-old nephew, so old and young, going together here as well. He told her everything about these technicalities. She makes these videos in which she explains how this creativity and this ceramics can be done at home. And she teaches her pupils to use tools that are at hand at home instead of at the studio where they couldn't come. So through a very simple method, she makes sure that these children continue to have these creative classes, which can be a very good counterweight for all the digital classes that they had to follow throughout this pandemic. So this was yesterday, but we have already started a totally new day. The only thing that I want to say when I look back upon the day of yesterday is that as Rosemary already explained in the beginning, this pandemic does not necessarily have to be only about negative things. It is also a new opportunity, a new door that opens for many, many other new innovative ideas. And I invite all of you to enjoy what is coming today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Hilda. A few people are asking if it's possible to access the presentations from yesterday. So just in case anyone missed it at the beginning, both sessions are being recorded and they're available on our website. So that's interregeurope.eu/craftscode. And that's where we will also be hosting the presentations or the slides that we received from all speakers. So if you want to go into a specific presentation and get more information, you're welcome to that there. Okay, so we're actually a little bit ahead of schedule. So I was going to see if Alexandra, if you would be comfortable with speaking now, and then we'll have a quick 10-minute break after that, if that's possible. So Alexandra, are you able to share your screen?
Yes,
Hello.
I can make my presentation now if you want.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Alexandra. And then we'll have a 10-minute break after that. Thank you very much.
So it's okay, you can see my screen now?
Perfect.
Yeah, okay. So good morning, everybody. Thanks to invite me today in order to speak to our European cluster of ceramic, which is a unique French cluster dedicated to ceramics, and about Clay Interreg Europe project. So I'm Alexandra Baudrouet. I'm a project manager at the European cluster of ceramic, which is located in Limoges. But where is Limoges? Limoges is in France, in the region Nouvelle-Aquitaine. This region is the third economic French region, is the fifth French region in business creation, and the first French leading region in R&D. And of course, Limoges is well known for its station. But as you know, Limoges is a French city of ceramics. In the north of Limoges, we have a dedicated area for ceramic. It's called Esther Technopole. And in this area, you have 300 people who are working in ceramic, in research, in training, and in technology transfer. Here, I put some example of what is done in this area. So here, you have a ring, which is made in ceramics by 3D printing. If you go in Limoges, you can see this kind of urban furniture, which is made in metal and in porcelain by the company Meridith. You can also discover ceramic containers for wine maturation in Biopitos. It's a little startup in Limoges. As you know, maybe Bernardo is well known for tableware in Limoges, and they made a very beautiful plate with Jeff Koons, with his famous balloon dogs here. And also we have ceramic dedicated to ales, and here you have an example of a sternum made in hydroxyapatite, is a very special ceramics. So now my cluster. So we are certified competitiveness cluster since 2005. We have 150 members in 7 countries, and we have 6 strategical markets. Our members are in the whole value chain of ceramics, from raw material suppliers until end users. Our members are company, training center, museum, region, and so on. So if you want to join us, you will be welcome. So now I want to speak about our missions. So the first one is innovation. We want to promote and support innovation for our members. We'll help them in order to find funds, to innovate, and to find new partnerships all over the world. We are also organize working groups. Our second mission is to develop growth for our members. So we go in events and business fairs in order to find new leads for our members. We also organize workshops, webinars, and taxation in French or in English. So if you want, you can have a look here on our website and you will see our next event. We also help our members to develop business and find new opportunities abroad. And we have a dedicated export program, which is Cyrenamic here. And this program is done with the Région Nouvelle-Aquitaine. Every 3 years, we also organize a dedicated business fair, which is Ceramic Network. And this dedicated business fair was held last year in November in online due to the sanitary context. And this year, we will make a new event, which is Ceramics for Industry in October in Limoges. If you want, you can join us. Our next mission is to support the international visibility of our ecosystem about ceramics. And for example, we are working on a campus of ceramics in order to match what the company needs for their employee about qualification in ceramics and how the training center could train the future employees of this company in order to match the needs. So it's very interesting to work about that. And the last mission, but not least, it's to develop the European network. And our cluster is a partner of 2 European projects. The first one is New Skin. It's a H2020 program dedicated to nanotechnology and advanced surface coating. And Clay project is the Interreg Europe project. So now I will speak about this project. But before, I would like to introduce the regional background of artistic ceramics in our region. So we have about 1,000 employees in Nouvelle-Aquitaine in this sector. Nouvelle-Aquitaine is the first region in ornamental and tableware ceramics in France. 4 out of 10 employees of French employees work in Nouvelle-Aquitaine, and 75% of jobs are in Limoges neighborhood. Regarding the employees, 71% of employees hold a position in manufacturing. 62% of professionals have qualification below A level. And regarding the age of people, 46% are more than 50 years old, and 30% of them are more than 55 years old. So we have to take care about that. And if we look about Limoges, you can see that you can find a lot of training organization about ceramics. So you have an engineer school here. You are also professional school. You have an art school and also a school for adults about ceramics. So now about clay projects. So in our project, we have 6 partners. The leader is in Italy. We have Spanish. We have partner from Romania, from Portugal, from Finland, and from France. So the aim of clay projects is to improve regional policies in order to boost the competitiveness of SMEs in the artistic ceramics sector to help them face the challenge of globalization. So here you can have a look on the schedule of clay project. And now we are here just at the end of the phase 1 with the famous action plan writing. So I will now speak about the result of the different steps of the project for our regions. So regarding the step 1, which is sector analysis, we made a SWOT of artistic ceramics in Nouvelle-Aquitaine. So regarding the strengths, so we have a proximity of research centers of excellence. We have a lot of transversal and collaborative projects, and Limoges gets a UNESCO Creative City label. Regarding opportunities, so sector is a priority sector at national and regional level. We observe a boom of luxury industry, and the French know-how is very popular. We also obtained an IGP label in order to protect porcelain of Limoges in 2017. Regarding the weakness of artistic ceramic sector, we have an uneven level of internationalization of SMEs in our region. Unfortunately, we also have a weak territorial attractiveness, and in general, companies are very small with few or no R&D staff, and it's difficult to innovate without R&D staff. Regarding the streets, we have an important international competition, a low attractiveness of the sector for students, and a high level of risk of counterfeiting. So now, if we have a look on the step 2, which is identification of needs. So to do that, we organize a poll. And here I will show you the barriers to innovation in Nouvelle-Aquitaine. So the first barrier is the low level of resources to invest in SMEs. And after, we have equality between the low awareness of innovation potential in the ceramic sector and the state of mind and excessive linkage with traditional techniques and products. I will explain that. In artistic ceramic sector, it's old and traditional manufacturers, and they think that innovation is not for them, but it's not the true. You can innovate even if you work in a traditional sector. So my job here is to make all my possible to change the state of mind. And regarding the results, we also have 75% of those questions that know that there is already support for innovation in ceramics in our region. But unfortunately, they have limited time available to find and identify relevant information. And they also said that administrative files are very, very complex. So we have to change that. So how we can meet the needs? So thanks to good practice from the partners of CLAY, we have a solution. Our Portuguese partners introduce their good practice, which is Vale de Inovação. It's a kind of innovation venture. It's very easy to get money in order to acquire technical support for research or specialized entities to develop innovation. So here in our region, we think that this venture is very interesting, and we want to transfer this idea here in order to simplify administrative procedures. So how? If we have a look, so we want to improve the legibility of support provision for companies. Administrative burden is a key point and involves a lack of responsiveness. Then this kind of innovation venture is in line with the new roadmap of the Région Nouvelle-Aquitaine. Innovation will help SMEs for short projects, and then we have to speak and to know how we can help companies with this kind of venture. So now the famous action plan. So I work with the Région Nouvelle-Aquitaine in order to find a solution, and we launch a call for expression of interest, which is innovation, design, and know-how of excellence answer to new trends in order to strengthen the attractiveness of the position of the ceramic sector in region from gesture to innovation. Is the leitmotif of Nouvelle-Aquitaine here. So sorry is in French, but if you want, I can help you to translate if you want. So now I want to explain how the policy need addressed. So this action plan is in line with the regional chain of economic development, innovation, and internationalization, with mainline 2, which is go further and strengthen the policy of priority sectors, and with Mainland 3, which is improve the industrial performance of regional companies and deploy the factory of the future. The leather, luxury, textile, and craft sector is one of the priority sectors identified in the Nouvelle-Aquitaine region, and the artistic ceramic sector is in this priority one. The ambition of the region is to provide a global answer and appropriate solutions to these companies with a know-how of excellence and heritage. And now I will show you the overview of the policy improvements that this action refers to. So the purpose of this call of interest is to initiate and support through a design approach projects leading to new products or services using know-how of excellence. It's the first time in the region that we launch this kind of CEI. And here in the region, we think that design is a powerful tool to create value for companies. As you said in the beginning of the presentation, innovation is not digitalization. Design could be a solution, and that is what we think here in our region. Design is a key of competitiveness factor for company. So how does it work? So the CEI runs from February and it will finish in December in 2022. There will be 4 calls and the amount of this budget is 150,000 euros. So we make communication about the CEI with information meetings, then companies submitted projects. Projects are selected with a board, and after you have 2 solutions. If your project is already consolidated, you go here. I will speak about this after. And if you have just the idea, but you don't know how to go further, your project is considered in maturation phase, and in that case, Regent will help you. So 1 week after the selection of your project, a designer will send in the company in order to carry out a study to finalize objectives, to highlight trends and check the feasibility. And 3 weeks after the end of the study, a designer will send a report to the company and to the region. And if the company decides to go further, region will help them. So the project become a consolidated project. And after, region will orient towards the dedicated regional financial supports. So for example, with collaborative tool or individual support or support for collective action. At the end, all selected projects will be oriented towards the dedicated financial support and will be promoted by the region. So this CEI answers to the need of stakeholders because it's very short application form, only 9 pages. For us, it's very short in France. You have several calls with a very short answer time. You have only 1 contact here. You have to write to this email address and it's okay. And regarding the selection of projects, so project must improve the competitiveness of SMEs. The project must be innovative and contribute to the Made in Nouvelle-Aquitaine and also maintain or transfer qualified know-how. So let's keep in touch in 2023 for final results. I will be happy to share the result with you. So thank you to invite me again. Let's stay connected. If you want to know more about our cluster or clay project, I'm here to answer to your question. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Alexandra. That's really interesting, especially for a lot of our project partners, because we haven't gotten to the action plan stage yet. So it's amazing to see where you are. And we would definitely love to hear how the project is progressing. We'd love to hear about the project results at the end. So please do keep us informed, and perhaps at another ITS in the future, we'd love to have you back and to hear more about it. So I'm just going to, if you're okay to stop sharing your screen for 1 second.
I try.
Actually, I can do it here. Don't worry, I've got it. Thank you very much. We are going to take a short 10-minute break. A huge thank you again, Alexandra, and to all of our speakers in the first part this morning. We are a little bit ahead of schedule, which is great. So we're going to take 10 minutes, and when we come back, we're going to have our last 3 presentations from the Michelangelo Foundation. Then we're going to move on to Bench Space in Cork, and finally the Craft 4.0 project. Hopefully all of our panel can stay on for the Q&A session, which will be happening at 12 o'clock in Ireland or 1 p.m. In Central Europe. And if not, if you could even type a few answers for any of the Q&A that we have there, and we will try and read those out at the end as well. But again, thanks to everyone for joining us. If we could all reconvene at 10:45 here in Ireland or 11:45 in Central Europe, and we'll see everyone then. Thanks again, everyone. Hi everyone, welcome back to part 2 of our session for Crafts Code. Thanks everyone, hope you had a nice short break there. So our next speaker up is Celine from the Michelangelo Foundation. Celine, are you okay to share your screen?
Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Sorry about that.
That's no problem.
Can you see it now?
Yes, we can see something is coming up. Perfect.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. So hello, I'm Celine Vogt. I'm the Strategic Relationship Manager at the Michelangelo Foundation for Creativity and Craftsmanship. Thank you for your introduction, Shona. And on the behalf of the Michelangelo Foundation, I would like to thank the Design Craft Council Ireland and the Crafts Code partners for giving us the opportunity to participate in this second day of conference. I'm delighted to be online with you for the next few minutes, during which I will present our latest project, the Homo Faber Guide, which puts innovation and technology at the service of the craft sector. Are you not seeing my screen? Oh.
So I'm not sure if it's in full presentation mode or if it's clicking forward.
Share again. Can you now see my screen, my full screen?
Yes, I think that's correct now. Are you able to move to the next slide and we'll make sure that works? Are you able to see my perfect,
screen? Okay. So sorry about that. So before starting to tell you about the Homo Faber Guide, I would like to briefly introduce the foundation for those of you who wouldn't know us. So the Michelangelo Foundation is a non-for-profit organization based in Geneva, Switzerland, and it was founded in 2016 by Johan Rupert and Franco Coloni. Johan Rupert is the chairman of Richemont International, which holds a certain number of watchmaking, jewelry, and fashion maisons. And Franco Coloni is the former chairman of Cartier, and he's also the founder of the Fondazione Coloni, a Milan-based foundation working towards the preservation of Italian craftsmanship. Together, they decided to create the Michelangelo Foundation because they recognize the tradition and culture of excellence, as well as the realities and the challenges of our current global economy. They decided that we should focus as Europe as a starting point for our activities, in recognition that the fine craftsmanship that is in Europe has been a vital part of the economic and cultural fabric of the region, and that for centuries. The mission of the foundation is to champion craftsmanship, endorse and enable artisans to sell their work and to sustain and grow their business in the long term. So what we do is that we identify, preserve and promote fine craftsmanship and help artisans attract and retain clientele through communication campaign, targeted program and events. We bring the world of design closer to the world of craftsmanship through special projects where designers and artisans work as equal partners to co-create objects that are then exhibited in international exhibition. We build a community of makers and we seek to connect artisans together. And finally, we onboard and support the skills development of the next generation of makers through educational programs. We have the vision to build our position in craft while at the same time redefining its universe and to grow its relevance in modern culture and commerce. Finally, we recognize the crucial need to support artisans and creative during this critical period. Craftsmanship is more than ever relevant, and every action we undertake has more resonance because of the pandemic. So we do many things, but collaboration lies at the heart of what we do. For the past 5 years, we have built a network of like-minded organizations, in particular leading applied art and design schools, museums, and governmental and para-governmental institutions. The Design Craft Council was one of our first partners, and we've been in contact, in very close contact since 2016. One of the colleagues from the Craft Council talked about Homo Faber, and indeed we've been working on the 2018 edition and on the 2021 edition together. Today, our network counts over 100 organizations in 32 European countries, and it's an evolving network. So we have new members and we welcome new members all the time. All of these organizations that are in the network share our values, identify with our mission, and work to champion craftsmanship all over Europe. Without them, we wouldn't be able to deliver our projects. They help us select master artisans and young talents, and they play an active role in our project. We also co-create projects locally together, and we support each other in terms of communication. So we relate the initiative of our partners. We would like, in the long run, to offer them the chance to meet. It was the case in 2018 at Homo Faber. And also we would like to encourage exchange and foster a sense of community. In parallel to the development of our network and at the very beginning of the foundation, we felt that we needed to define what we meant when we were speaking about craft and craftsmanship excellency. So one of the second action that we did was for our director, Alberto Cavalli, and two researchers, Giovanna Marchello and Giulietta Conacci, to conduct a research. They interviewed a number of master artisans throughout Europe and asked them what excellence meant to them in craft. And in these interviews, and by analyzing these interviews, they realized that the same words came coming out. And these words became our criteria for excellence. So we have 11 criteria for excellence. These ones include talent, training, innovation, creativity, competence, originality, savoir-faire, interpretation, tradition, authenticity, and territory. And the idea is that a craftsman with all of these, that find himself with all of these criteria, is a master artisan. For us, it was really important to have a definition that we could share with our partners in order to be speaking about the same thing. So the idea of this research and of these criteria is a starting point of discussion, and it's our way to define craftsmanship. In order to accomplish our mission, we have 5 lines of action. We have events, and our major event is called Homo Faber Crafting a More Human Future. It's a biennale event that is held in Venice every 2 years. Unfortunately, so it was held for the first time in 2018, and unfortunately in 2020, we were not able to make it, and it will take place later this year. We also have a youth development program, as well as publication, artisans program, and digital projects. And I'm here in particular to tell you about our digital project. The past month has taught many of us a form of resilience. It showed us that we needed to slow down and to try to find inspiration close to us. It pushes us to discover and rediscover what is at our doorstep, which is surely essential to shape the world of tomorrow. We believe that craftsmanship has a key role and comparative advantage to play in defining this changing world. And that being said, we also notice, I mean, since the beginning of the foundation, but more and more in the past year and month, that knowledge and awareness around craft is still lacking. And unfortunately, communication is not always the strength of every craft people. So we identified a real gap there, and we decided that we needed to develop a program to fill this gap. So at the foundation, we see innovation as a tool for artisan at many levels. It can help artisans to ameliorate some time-consuming tasks. It can reduce the environmental impact of some operation. It can boost creativity by offering new possibility, and it can help increase awareness of the entire sector. And for this reason, we decided to develop the guide. So in our case, we use innovation and innovative means of communication and technology to put craft at the fingertip of everybody. So what is the Homo Faber Guide? It's an original digital platform to help users find a selection of the best of fine craftsmanship in Europe. It presents to the world, it presents the world through the lenses of craft, and it has the objective to immerse the users in this wonderful world. It's also a powerful geolocalized tool and a search engine using the codes of today. And what I mean by that is that it's fairly intuitive to use. It's very visual, it's immersive. You have different entry doors by métier, by countries, by cities, and it functions a bit like other applications that work with geolocalization. For example, if you think about Airbnb, TripAdvisor, so it has this similarity in terms of function that allows the user to understand very quickly how he or she can use it. The Homo Faber Guide is accessible on through a website, so homofaberguide.com, and via an application that is available on the Apple Store and on Google Play Store. It's free of charge for the users and also for the participants, and it's a project curated by the Michelangelo Foundation, but built with the strong support of all of our network members and our ambassadors. In terms of objectives, the idea of the guide is to connect art enthusiasts, collectors, clients, galleries, curious travelers, and designers with the continent's crafting excellence. It highlights a selection of the best master artisans and rising stars across Europe. It gives the possibility to discover craft through visits of museums, of galleries, of shops, and participative experiences, such as workshop visits, museums visits, but also courses if you want to try yourself to a craft. It also offers expert advice through our recommendation of ambassadors. Our ambassadors can be our network partners, so they know the local territory very well, but they can also be given by city ambassadors, which are key personalities in the world of creativity, not necessarily in the craft sector, but in the creative sector. And all of these people have a special interest for craft. On another note, it's also a communication tool and a platform that we provide for artisans themselves. And it's also a unified tool, which can be very interesting for artisans. In terms of navigation, so as I mentioned, the guide is available on Google Play and on Apple Store and through the website homofaberguide.com. You have the possibility to create your own account, but this is not obligatory to visit the guide. And if you have an account, you can like your favorite artisans and places. You can share your favorite artisans and places with other people, and you can share as well your recommendation. If you would like, I invite you to browse the guide while I'm telling you more about it, and perhaps you'll have a question afterward. In terms of content, so as I mentioned, through the guide, you can discover makers, you can discover atelier manufacturers, you can visit museums, galleries, and shop. You can experience visits of workshop, master classes, guided tour, temporary exhibition, and fair. You can search by country, city, craft, material, And you will find also an editorial focus with interview, visuals, and videos. Today, the guide includes over 900 artisans, 95 ateliers and manufacturers, 135 museums, 215 galleries and shops, and over 410 experiences, and that in 30 countries. New content are added every week, and we also have new countries that are added every 3 months. We have an objective to present about 1,000 artisans and covering Europe by the end of 2021. We also have a very strong participation from Ireland with about 40 artisans, ateliers and manufacturers, 20 galleries and shops, 2 museums and 1 ambassador. And we have many more content that will be added in the future. I also wanted to show you what an artisan's page looked like. So each artisan or each gallery's shop museum have a profile. On this profile, you will find, of course, the name of the artisan, the métier, the location, and the category. So if this artisan is a rising star or a master artisan. You will also see to which event they participated with the Michelangelo Foundation. So here on the screen, you see that Sasha has participated in Homo Faber. Then you have the mention of who recommended this artisans. You have the account functions, so save, like, and share. And you finally have the geolocalization part with the contact details. The idea is really to situate your artisan on the map and to show with the guide that craftsmanship is everywhere. So you have the contact details, including social media, the spoken language of the artisans, his or she or her address, hours of visit, or if it's by appointment, telephone number, email address, and website. And the idea is really also to allow the user of the guide to connect directly with the artisans. So this is why it's important for us to have all of the contact details there. You will also find an immersive interview as well as some videos, such as the one of Sasha, where we developed this format called Inside the Workshop, where we call artisans and we ask them to present, to do a little tour of their workshop. So at the moment, this is quite a nice function as we're not able to travel and to visit a workshop. At least it can give you an overview or a sense of what it is to be in an artisanal workshop. Then at the bottom of the page, you will find example of work. And at the very bottom of the page, you'll find suggestion of other content according to your navigation. So according also to what you save on the guide, you will have targeted suggestion. I also wanted to, so this is the general framework of the Homo Faber guide. I wanted to tell you also a few words on how we selected artisans for our project, and in particular in that case for the guide. So we do that through the 11 criteria for excellence. So all of the makers that are on the guide correspond to this idea of the 11 criteria for excellence. But in order to make it understandable and accessible to our partners, but also to artisans themselves, we developed a selection tool called the Master's Touch Evaluation Tool. This website and platform is available on the Michelangelo Foundation website. And it was a way for us to create and establish a transparent process in terms of selection, and also to lean toward objectivity. The idea is that it's a detailed questionnaire, and that measures to what extent, in a sort of way, to what extent an artisan's fulfill the 11 criteria for excellence required to be eligible to join our community of makers and to participate in our project. It offers a unique profiling of an artisan's skill set and clearly identify the areas of expertise or competence and the area where there's a scope for improvement. And really for us, it's a way to understand with the same lenses the artisan's work. So that's for on our side, and on the side of our partners, it's also a really important communication tool, as we use this tool to communicate on our selection with our network. So for example, the Design Crafts Council has been very active in proposing artisans to the foundation through this tool, and then we're able to see the artisans and to assess them and select them for the Michelangelo Foundation's project. Voila, I think I covered everything. I'm happy to stay in touch, so you'll find my contact detail on the screen, and I'll reply to any question at the end of the conference. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Celine. And as you mentioned there, DCI are an ambassador of the Michelangelo Foundation Homo Faber Guide, and it's something we're very proud to be involved in. It's an incredible network and community and resource for makers. And hopefully, Celine, you're able to stay on for the Q&A at the end and answer any questions. So thanks again for joining us on that.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Great. So we're going to move on to our next speaker now. Maeve, if you're able to get yourself ready. Maeve Murphy is speaking on behalf of Benchbase in Cork, so a creative hub, and she'll be able to tell you a lot more about it now. Thanks, Maeve.
Super. Whoops, a daisy. Shauna, can you see the presentation there?
I can, Maeve, that's perfect.
Okay. And I'm just going to see, does it move across? It does. Give you a sneak preview. There we go. Good morning or afternoon, everybody. My name is Maeve Murphy. Depending on what country you're in, it could be morning or afternoon. I'm the operations manager with Benchbase Cork. So it's a makerspace within Cork City, and that's where I'm speaking to you today from. And to give you a sense of where Cork is, this is a very accurate map of Ireland. And as you can see, Cork is there. Some people consider Cork to be the real capital of Ireland. We won't negotiate or debate that today, but everybody in Cork is pretty proud of where we're from. So Benchbase is based in the southwest region, and it's based in the capital in Cork City. And that's where I'm speaking to you today from. It's Ireland's first enterprise hub for creatives, and our aims are to build sustainable creative careers in Cork, provide easier access to tools and equipment, to provide affordable and supportive workspace, and to offer supports with business and technological skills, and to create opportunities through creativity and innovation. So the Makerspace model in itself is innovative. And this diagram here, it has a Bauhaus essence to it. So in a sense, we do actually draw parallels to the Bauhaus school and the Bauhaus movement. So within Benchbase, we have multiple disciplines. So we have jewelry, wood, textiles, and digital. And it's an open and supportive environment of co-making and co-creating across all these disciplines. We're really, I suppose, about creating a space and an environment for chance encounters to happen. People have access to training and using digital fabrication and manufacturing digital design methods. So then this creates a foundation where ideas can take shape, allowing for experimenting and prototyping. By creating access to innovative tools, it enables people to explore and to learn by doing. We see this model as an innovative catalyst for not just the craft sector, but for people and for businesses from all backgrounds. And then this slide here just shows you some pictures to give you a sense of what the inside of Benchbase looks like. The top middle one, I managed to get one of the woodworkers on one of his clean days. So that's one of his benches. We run classes to bring people into the space in all disciplines. Down in the bottom right-hand corner is one of their jewelry studios. And the bottom image there is actually really similar to an image that was shared by the Finnish presentation yesterday that was talking about design thinking. So more or less the exact same on a whiteboard with lots of Post-its. So that's like a brainstorming design thinking session really in process. So our space is open plan modular studio spaces across all disciplines. Currently, our wood workshop is housed in a separate unit. We offer training in digital and traditional manufacturing. And it's here really that we want to foster a creative community where we can have an impact on the jobs and careers in our city, in our economy, and to really drive sustainable design. And here we have a picture, and I just saw, this is Anne-Marie Reinhold. She is one of our resident jewelry makers, and the previous presenter had her in her presentation on Homer Faber as I think one of the rising stars. So Anne-Marie is one of Benchspace resident jewelers, and she was selected to create an artistic response to COVID-19 crisis for the National Museum of Ireland's permanent contemporary collection for design and craft. And so I'm talking about how we want to provide a space for chance encounters to happen, for ideas to come together and come to fruition. So Anne-Marie is going to be collaborating with one of our resident furniture designers, James MacDonald, in creating wooden display boxes for her spoon garden as part of her presentation for that project for the National Museum. And James is a really talented furniture maker, and he's going to be incorporating some of the techniques that you see in the bottom right-hand picture there in terms of the textures in that in those boxes for her presentation. So I thought that was a really nice example of how collaborations can happen if you set a right environment for it. So then looking at another way that we see that we can innovate the craft sector is through our enterprise program. We have a set of supports in place to create a pathway from learner to maker to entrepreneur. People can access these programs at all stages of their journey to build a sustainable livelihood. It spans development in best business practice and fundamentals, to bringing in experts to give workshops with makers on various topics and industry links, to accelerate development and really to inject innovation into manufacturing and thinking of people who come into Benchspace. We are actually just working on an academic collaboration at the moment, with Cork College in Cork, to create a module on contemporary making methods. So we're going to bring their students into Benchspace, and then we're going to establish some learning outcomes for that. So that's going to be trialed next year, actually. We have different programs and opportunities to take people from the training column over on the far left, from training to practice, and then from practice to enterprise. We partner and seek support from different organizations for these programs. So mainly the foundations of the enterprise program, we have got quite a large fund from the Enterprise Ireland Region Development Fund, and part of that we're going to be putting into the enterprise program. We've also got support from the Design and Craft Council to kind of run a branding strand or development for members of Benchspace as well that we'll be rolling out soon. So we kind of leverage all these supports to create an overarching program for people who come to Benchspace. And some of the programs can be designer in residence, bursaries, graduate star prizes. And one we're actually excited to share with, it was just announced yesterday. So we managed to get apply for and get support from an anonymous donor with the Community Foundation for Ireland. Their logo there is on the bottom, to deliver a program called the Rising Sparks program. So the Rising Sparks program's aim is to support the transition of individuals from disadvantaged backgrounds and communities into long-term artistic and creative livelihoods through hands-on learning. So we'll be partnering with different organizations within Cork that work with marginalized communities to bring their service users who might want to develop a creative career, to bring them into the space to explore, to learn and develop. And it's over 3 years, and there's 3 phases to the program. And the final phase will see 5 participants get 1 year studio access and residency paid for. And then also they'll get a €5,000 stipend that will hopefully support them in some capacity and make the living expenses, or they might want to spend it on, put it into their year of working in the studio, so just make that a little bit easier for them. So we're really excited about that program. Then moving on to our contract services. So we see this as an innovative financial model. It helps with our overheads, but also we see it as where we can bring small and local makers to big city projects. So it means we have the capacity to work on larger projects. And for this particular slide, I'm going to be talking about Cork City parklets. So Cork City, we're partnering with Cork City to deliver around 11 parklets throughout the city. And a parklet is like a reclaimed or a space on the footpath or an extension of the footpath where you can create an environment, a sense of ownership, and enhance the community within an urban setting. And as Benchspace being the lead partner, we're able to provide one point of contact for our civic partner, Cork City Council, provide professional service with complete project and financial management. But more importantly, we can match skills up with the need. It facilitates job creation. We're able to bring several makers onto this project and give them the experience to work on large city projects and to interact with the team environment as well. So enterprise, it's like creative enterprise with the social dividends. So there's a link there just to, if you want to follow it, to give you a little bit more about the parklets. And that really wraps me up. So Benchspace is a new makerspace. We were established in 2017 and we're currently in development and evolving. Our door is always open and we've got a really great vision of where we want to be. My email is there and our social media links there are also, so feel free to reach out to me. And if anybody is coming to Ireland, we would love to meet up. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maeve. And it's great to know for all of our European audience, if they ever need to find out where Cork is, the map is very useful.
No problem.
Thank you very much for that. And congratulations on the Rising Sparks. That's fantastic news.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Thank you.
Great, and hopefully you can stay on for the Q&A. We're going to move on to our final speaker today, John Walsh from TU Dublin, and he is going to talk about the EU project CRAFTS 4.0. So John, if you're able to share your screen, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Certainly, just give me a second. Hello everyone, I hope you can all hear me. My name is John Walsh and I'm Assistant Head of School at Technological University Dublin, School of Creative Arts. I'm Principal Investigator, or basically I lead the project called CRAFTS 4.0, which I'm going to talk to you about today. And I'm also a furniture and product designer and I have a company called Maeve. To tell you a little bit about CRAFTS 4.0, it's a project that's funded through the EU Erasmus Plus program, and we've got partners in Sweden, Mälardalen University, who are based in Sweden, dLearn, who are based in Milan, this is the European Digital Learning Network. They specialize in these types of projects. Sempen, who are a furniture cluster based in Barcelona. InnoBridge, who are a business innovation center in Ruse in Bulgaria. Civic, who are a UK-based company who build training platforms, digital training platforms, and ADR, who are a regional development agency in Romania. And we're all working together. We're all working with crafts people across all of these countries on this project. CRAFTS 4.0 basically aims to create information, training tools for craftspeople in the areas of digital making technologies like 3D printing, laser cutting, and CNC machinery. A very valid question to ask would be why? Hilda made a point earlier, and I think she was absolutely bang on in that innovation in the craft sector doesn't always have to be digital. And I suppose part of what this project is about really is about trying to find ways that craftspeople can start to use these technologies, but not by any stretch of the imagination trying to replace them in any way. If you look at something like this, it's the exact, in many respects, the exact antithesis to what craft is about. And really, this project is in no way about replacing the craft, the beautiful craft pieces that people make with machines and technology. So what it is about, we hope, is about supporting craft practice and certainly not replacing it. And really, we want to ask, how can craftspeople use these tools in order to help them in their practice or business, and how can we help them develop their craft and business? We have worked across all of the partners with craftspeople over the last couple of years, and we've held a number of workshops, and we've also done some case studies, and we've tried to get to the bottom of, how can these technologies help people, and how are they helping people? So what I'm going to do now is kind of just talk about some examples. Some of them are a little bit random, they're not all connected, but they're all, I think, good examples of how craftspeople are currently using these technologies in their work. One thing that often people perceive to be the case when in this sort of in this area is that it's just about 3D printing an object, a little bit like that phase that I showed you on the 3D printer a minute ago. And it's not always about that. It can be about printing part of a product. This is an example of a fully 3D printed chair. It's really interesting and it's a really nice product. But in most cases, this is not what we're talking about in terms of 3D printing, digital technologies and craft. This is a small project by one of my colleagues at TU Dublin, and it's just something he was working on where he was using off-the-shelf components, materials that were readily available, like pieces of dowel and lighting bulbs and things like that, and combining them with a 3D printed object. And I think this sort of area has a lot of potential, and sometimes you don't even necessarily need to see the 3D printed component. In this case, we 3D printed these little connectors which held everything together, and we just 3D printed in plastic, but increasingly now we can 3D print in materials like metal as well. But I suppose the point with this is that it's not always about printing the finished thing, it's about using the technology to print that little component that craftspeople really need, and that they can't maybe wait to order from someplace else. That it enables them to move their design on, to move quickly, and to produce things locally in-house rather than trying to order things in. It's not always about the finished piece. It can be used as part of the making process. And this is really what we use 3D printing for a lot. This is our workshop at TU Dublin, and as you can see, it's like exactly what you imagine most workshops to be. We do teach a lot of hand making, we teach a lot of prototyping, we encourage our designers and craftspeople to make things quickly and to use hand tools when they're the right things to do. But sometimes we use 3D printing for things like this, to make a little tiny jig. And what it can do is really enable you to do things really quite quickly, and to repeat something, and to get a level of accuracy, and it can actually work really well for that sort of thing. And as well, 3D printing, I mean, this is one of the other comments that came up from some of our focus groups. It's really about supporting existing processes. So there might be something that craftspeople are doing in their existing business, and it can help them a lot. So it's very common in the craft sector for, at the moment even, for 3D printing to be used as part of the mold making process in jewelry, things like that. And I suppose part of it is that it allows us to create kind of shapes that are really quite tricky to do using any other processes. So it can help push the boundaries of what we can achieve with traditional materials and processes. These are really beautiful pieces of jewelry designed by Theresa Delgar, who is a South African-born jewelry designer based at the moment in the UK, but she studied here in Ireland. And these types of pieces are pieces that cannot really be made using traditional processes. I'm sure maybe there is a possibility that they could, but they'd be exceptionally difficult, exceptionally time-consuming, and really would make it prohibitive in order to be able to make them. So I suppose these tools can allow craftspeople and makers to actually push the boundaries of what they're actually doing. We see also these technologies can help in the design stage, which is essential for realization of a product, and also that they can save time, allowing you to work more efficiently. Again, these are comments that have come from designers who are actively using these processes. And a really simple example, again, the jewelry example, is the idea of making a ring and trying to make a prototype of it and trying to physically have something that you can see quite quickly without having to, you know, send it off, wait for it to come back. You can actually do that, print it, get a feeling for what it feels like. Sometimes you might or might not want to show it to a client. It might not do it justice, but it can give you, as a designer who understands the changes that a material can make, the ability to physically see the shape, the form, the proportion in 3 dimensions. And again, it helps with things like marketing. The example of a craftsperson to show a client a piece before making a final one. So again, you can use the technology to create something quickly, to run it by, to get feedback, and before investing in the actual cast piece. So again, what it's really doing is supporting the process. I'm going to talk to you really quickly about this. Is one that's worth looking up. I think it is a company called This, who are based in Italy, and they make beautiful handmade shoes. But what's interesting about how they've approached their marketing is actually they've got a kind of online configurator where you can take a couple of measurements from your shoes, from your feet. From that, they have kind of an automated 3D model that they can kind of build, but they use that 3D model then to make beautiful handmade shoes. So what it has enabled them to do is to actually export shoemaking to well, all over the world, really. But again, they're beautiful handmade shoes, but they've used the technology to support what they're actually doing. You can use these technologies to repeat, modify, personalize, or make additions. One thing about 3D printing, which anyone who has ever seen it probably knows, is that I suppose it's not fast. It's very slow. It's painstakingly slow, and in many respects, that's a little bit like craft. You know, it's not like injection molding or the typical plastic making process that we have. But the point is, I suppose, that you can use it to make versions, and you can make them at the same speed as you can make one, basically. So, if you want to do a version, you can make a change, and you'll make it at the same at the same speed, basically. So you can use it to make you can print in multiple materials now, so you can do different versions in different materials, but also different shapes or different forms. And again, these could even be personalized for a person based on their requirements, because it is that sort of process that's kind of more akin to a one-off, a little bit like craft. One thing we're just toying with a little bit in our workshop is we're 3D printing some ceramics at the moment, and we're working on looking at how we can just make small changes to an existing design. So if you look at these 2 bases, they're actually based on 3 simple shapes. So a circular base, an elliptical middle, and a circular top. And they're all just different sizes and placed different distances apart. So based on a couple of small inputs, we can actually go from one shape to the other really quickly. And it allows us to kind of personalize things for people. One of the other things, again, about personalization is it allows you to build on existing models. This is Leo Scarf, who's a great designer and maker in Ireland. He's based in Leitrim. And Leo produces these beautiful kind of sculptural objects. They're often made through processes like laser cutting. But again, you can, by stretching something, you can create different shapes. You can create bespoke installations to suit your client or your a company who has come to you. So really, I suppose it's about that ability to personalize, make things to order as well, but also to reuse some of the information that you might have spent a lot of time creating previously. I suppose the reason we're doing this now is that these technologies are evolving and they're getting cheaper and cheaper and becoming more and more accessible. And part of what we want to do with CRAFT 4.0 is reach out to the sector to see how we can help them access these technologies at this point in time, so that we're slightly ahead of the curve, or we're at least catching up with the curve. So it's not too far down the line, because like I said, 10 years ago, buying a 3D printer was expensive. Now it's actually not. And these are tools that can sit in any workshop and become really a core part of enabling businesses to and craftspeople to actually produce their work. I would be delighted to hear from anyone who's still on the call. You can use my email address if you're interested in finding more out about the project, or if you're interested in being involved in any way. Or you can check out our website, which is craftproject.eu. Over the coming months, we will have some workshops and things which we'll be sending invitations out. And if you keep an eye on the website, you'll be able to see you'll be able to find them. And that's kind of it from me. Thanks everybody for listening.
Thank you so much, John. Really interesting. And I have to say, as you said it yourself, but it was one point that all of the project partners for Crafts Code felt very strongly about, was that we wanted to show a range over the 2 days for how to innovate the craft sector, and to show that it's not just about digital technology. But what we were really excited about with CRAFT 4.0 is, as you said, it's about enhancing or pushing the boundaries of limitations of craft, and how it can really help in that initial design process as well. So it's been, I have to say, some of the images there are incredible. So it's lovely to see that. And do let us know about any workshops that you have coming up, or any activities. We'd love to share it with all of our participants and our audience here today as well. So thank you so much for that. Great. So we are going to move on to the Q&A section now. As I said at the beginning, if anyone wants to put any of their questions into the Q&A, please just let us know. Going to start off with the very first one. Someone's asking why Crafts Code isn't happening in Portugal. We'd love it to happen all across Europe if we could, but unfortunately our project partners in this are Bulgaria, Spain, Ireland, Finland, Belgium, Hungary, and yeah, I think I've got everyone there. But yeah, we'd love to see it being rolled out, and our hope is that by opening up the seminar to the general public and to every country across Europe, that it inspires other countries to perhaps look at some of these examples or good practices and take them on board as well. So one question we have for Alexandra, I know you had gone directly back to the person, but I think it's good because I'm not sure if everyone's able to read or see these. So Alexandra, if you're able to put your video and mic on, this is for you. So it is about how can a new member join and under what conditions, and what are the obligations, rights, and how much it is in membership. So I'll ask that part first and then I'll go on to the next piece.
So our network is open to everyone. For no French member, your membership must be validated by our board. The cost of annual memberships depends on the number of employees in your company. And if you are an association, the cost is €300 for 1 year. You have no obligations. You just have to enjoy your membership. And the communication are both in French and in English. And if you want to speak more about your membership, you can book a meeting with me. I put my Calendly link in the chat, so I will be happy to speak with you.
Thanks, Alexandra. Yes, and that was the second part, was about the communication. They were wondering if it's in French or English, but as you said, it can be in both.
Yes, exactly.
That's great. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
One question for John. Someone's just asking, you were mentioning obviously a lot of these digital tools, that they're becoming cheaper. They're just asking, are they becoming more sustainable, or was sustainability anything that you looked at as part of the CRAFT 4.0 project? Sorry, I know it's a difficult question.
No, not at all, not at all. I mean, people, I suppose, there can be a perception that 3D printing isn't necessarily sustainable. And I mean, I think with anything, there are issues with sustainability. So I'm not arguing saying that it is a sustainable process, but what I would say is that in terms of, you can print things locally, you print what you need. If you're talking about making lots and lots of things and sending them out into the world and hoping that somebody's going to buy them, again, 3D printing has it is a little bit like craft in that it's made to order, and you make what you need and you don't use any more than you do need. And also, some of the plastics and materials that are used are biodegradable as well. I mean, again, I'm not saying it's perfect, but I would say that, you know, there are certainly advantages in terms of you make what you need with 3D printing.
Great, thanks, John. So I'm not sure if there's any other questions. Let me know, just my colleague Nicola, if there's anything that comes into the chat that I'm missing, and I can direct that, of course.
There was one earlier on. Olga Trevisan asked about the Future Makers program, whether it was open to international students, and if it was answered, but not the attendees wouldn't know. So Future Makers is open to international students, but only if they are resident in Ireland for at least 2 years.
Great, thanks, Nicola. Celine, we have another question for you, actually. So they're just asking, are you working on any new projects at the moment as part of the Michelangelo Foundation? Someone says they have a suggestion. I'm sure, there you go. I'm sure you have lots of suggestions coming through. But is there anything new or exciting coming up in the Michelangelo Foundation you can speak about, maybe, or?
Nothing brand new at the moment. I mean, we're continuing to work on our summer school program, for example, and we will have one exciting summer school on metal in Portugal this year, as well as probably one in Italy. So we're working on that, but we don't have any breaking news at the moment. Of course, we're always happy to receive a proposition and partnership proposition, and I'll be happy to follow up on that if the person wishes to contact me.
Great. Yeah, and do please get in touch with Celine, I suppose, if there's any questions. We have another one about, I'm not sure if you actually are aware of this, or you know, if it's made public, but is the Homophobia exhibition happening in Venice in September? Our fingers are crossed for you, but I don't know if you have any updates on that.
Yes, so Homophobia will be happening in September, and we're still crossing our fingers as anything is possible. I mean, the last year has taught us that, but at the moment it's still confirmed, yes.
That's great news, yeah, and hopefully it does go ahead. It's an incredible event, and as you said, it was such a shame that it couldn't happen in 2020 because of COVID, but I know for makers all across Europe, they would be delighted to get back to that. So fingers crossed. Perhaps if you want to let everyone know the dates again for that exhibition, if it's happening.
Yes, so Homophobia is from 9 to 26th of September, and it will be happening at Fondazione Giorgio Cini with Japan as a guest of honor, and many artisans from all over Europe as well.
Great, thank you. Okay, and I see a few people are putting in links. I know some of our partners or project partners are obviously on the call. If there's any project links, websites, or anything from the good practices yesterday that you want to share with our audience, feel free to put those into the chat there now. And as I mentioned earlier on, we have a full recording of today and yesterday. We will be putting that up on our website, and I've put the link for that into the chat as well. And please do follow us on Facebook, and our social media will be putting the video up there too. So let me see, I'm going to go back to the Q&A and see if there's anything else in terms of questions.
I had a question, if I can abuse my role.
Go for it, Nicola.
Is there an app for the Homophobia guide?
Yes, there's an app and it's available on Google Play and on the App Store, and it functions, so it has all the function that you have on the website, and you can use it with an account or without an account. Feel free to download it.
Great, Celine, thank you. Maeve, actually a question for you with Benchbase. If we're able to
go for it.
Yes, hi, Maeve, sorry. I was just wondering, in terms of with COVID, how much of an impact that had on you in terms of Benchbase, you know, the makers, you know, how they were able to get in and access, and how that's hopefully progressing now and changing for the better.
We were able to accommodate some of the resident makers because social distancing, the space within the studio, it wasn't a problem. I know, I'm not sure if Ian is on the call here, but we actually got heavily involved in the beginning, and in terms like it's quite innovative in creating a PPE program within Ireland, in terms of using a network of people with 3D printers within initially Cork, and then I think it expanded to all of Ireland. They created, managed to build hundreds of thousands of PPE shields that they were able to give to all the health services. So that actually kept a lot of people busy in the very beginning. But as things are rolling out now, it's things going back to normal. We're launching our education program and our classes later on in June.
Great. Yeah, and I was hoping you would mention about the PPE, because it was hugely important when everyone was they were just struggling at the beginning. We were all scrambling a little bit in terms of COVID-19, and no one knew what to be doing. So in terms of getting masks and shields and that protective equipment out, it was so important, and it was amazing to see Benchbase had such a big part in that. So thanks for mentioning that.
No problem.
If I was trying, just Nicola, let me know if there's anything else I'm missing in the chat. I think
nothing I see.
Okay, I think that's everything. If any of the panel have a question for another speaker, feel free to unmute yourself as well and ask that. But otherwise, I think that we're well ahead of time, and we might finish up our session there. I'm just going to have one last look in terms of the chat. I think we're all good. Okay, so what I would like to say is a huge thank you to all of our speakers, both yesterday and this morning. A real variety of presentations and good practices on how to innovate the craft sector. We hope we've inspired all of our audience from across Europe, and that there are some programs you'd be interested in participating in. Maybe you weren't aware of them before, that are happening in your own country. A big part of what our aim here for Crafts Code is that we would love to implement and replicate some of the good practices in other countries into our own, and that we can offer this to our own makers and crafts community. It's a great opportunity for us as part of this Interreg Europe funded project to be able to do this and offer it to our makers. And so please do continue to follow the activities and the actions of Crafts Code, and follow us on social media and on our website. Well done to all of the project partners who were involved in organising today. Again, once, fantastic from all of our speakers. We're really looking forward to sharing all of the slides after today. And a special thank you to our CEO, Rosemary Steen, for opening both mornings, and for DCCI for being the hosting partner. And of course, to everyone for joining us over the 2 mornings. We really hope you enjoyed the session. We'd love to hear your feedback. Please feel free if you have any questions or would like to get in contact with us. Our email is europe@dcci.ie. I will put that into the chat here at the end. But if you have any questions for us, please do feel free to get in touch. So I think we'll leave it there, Nicola, unless we have anything else in chat.
No, just comments and praise and thanks.
Thank you to everyone and for all your attention. That's my email address just in there at the moment. So I think we're going to finish up there. Once again, a huge thank you to all our speakers and panels for staying on for the Q&A. And sorry we couldn't welcome you in person to Ireland, but we hope to have you here very soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Goodbye.
Bye.